What is going on, everyone? The Houston Texans remain undefeated. They beat the Chicago Bears and Caleb Williams 19-13. And as of right now, the Houston Texans are in first place of the AFC South with the Titans, Colts, and Jaguars not winning at all. They have yet to win a football game. But ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot to talk about because this definitely was an ugly win for the Houston Texans. I'm going to tell you what I mean. Welcome everyone to the 713 Houston Sportcast. My name is Ruben Calvillo and I drop daily Houston Texans content. Make sure you guys are following me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok for the latest news, rumors, and updates. And ladies and gentlemen, this episode was brought to you and powered by BetUS. Take advantage of the 150% bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the BetUS website looking at tonight's Monday night matchup between the Atlanta Falcons and Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles are right now 5.5-point favorites, and I'm leaning towards Philly. I have A.J. Brown on my fantasy team, and I need him to go crazy. Let's go ahead and put $50 to risk here, guys, and that is to win 45. Guys, BetUS, take advantage of their 150% bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000. You could bet on anything: football, basketball, ice hockey, baseball, golf. We've already won a couple of slips. Let me know if you tell this so we could shout it out in the comments. And once again, guys, shout out to BetUS. Let's get this locked in. Here we go. See you guys tonight after the game. Let's start with this Houston Texans defense because they were swarming and they were the reason why the Houston Texans won this game. They made it absolute hell for Caleb Williams. He was sacked 7 times and threw 2 interceptions, one to Derek Stingley and the other to rookie cornerback Kamari Lassiter. Hey, back-to-back weeks, your 2 rookies in the secondary, Kamari Lassiter and Kalen Bullock, have had interceptions. But guys, I want to highlight one player. Henry To'oTo'o, you have had yourself a very good start to the season. He was the Houston Texans' leading tackler yesterday. 13 total, 9 solo, 1 tackle for loss, 1 sack. In the absence of Christian Harris, we have seen the emergence of Henry To'oTo'o, and he deserves a lot of praise for yesterday's victory. He was all over the field. You see the development of head coach DeMeco Ryans. I cannot wait for Christian Harris to come back and we see Henry To'oTo'o be that third linebacker. Once healthy, this linebacker unit is going to be very special. I want to talk about Azeez Al-Shaair, one of your captains, one of your big acquisitions in the offseason. He had an interesting game yesterday. On the field was solid. 10 total tackles, 6 of them solo, 1 tackle for loss, 1 sack. Definitely a solid day for Azeez Al-Shaair. But his moment on the sideline after obliterating Caleb Williams as he tried to get out of bounds, gets up 1 versus 20. Now, I'm not going to condone him punching someone on the face, but him not backing down from the entire Chicago Bears team, it fired me up. It fired up the crowd, and it fired up this Houston Texans defense. And it hits a little more when you see your captain do that, kind of when your quarterback puts his body on the line, letting him know that, hey, boys, I'm right here with you. And I loved it. I loved it. This is Houston. This is H-Town. You're not just going to walk in our city, walk in our stadium, and try to disrespect us. And then you saw Jalen Petrie later on in the game just murder the tight end Cole Kmet. I love the new style of football this Houston Texans defense is playing because it's nasty. Speaking of nasty, your 2 edge rushers, Danielle Hunter, Will Anderson Jr., they made their presence felt, both of them, a sack and a half. And if Caleb Williams wasn't so slippery, they both would have registered a sack more. So shout out to Caleb Williams for escaping. We know one of those escapes ended up in the Kamari Lassiter interception. But Danielle Hunter, his big sack kind of to end the game, right when the Chicago Bears were coming back and they went up tempo, he makes the right tackle look silly, gives him a stutter step. He has no chance, and Danielle Hunter just obliterates Caleb Williams, puts him right on his back. The Will Anderson Jr. sack came on a 39, and I don't know why the Chicago Bears try to block him with the tight end, but that wasn't going to work. Will Anderson Jr. makes quick work of that sack. And then the first sack between those two, they shared it, right? You had Will Anderson Jr. come on one side, Danielle Hunter come on one side, and they just sandwiched Caleb Williams. Like I said, it was a tough day for the #1 overall pick, but this is what you wanted to see from this edge rushing duo. I called them potentially going to be one of the best in the NFL. They showed it yesterday against the Chicago Bears O-line. Mario Edwards Jr., another sack. That's now 2 on the season for him. We heard Harley and John Crumpler said that he might be special. And man, right now he is a game changer up the middle for the Houston Texans. They're getting consistent pressure from their defensive tackles. It's not just him. It's Lorenzo Fatukasi as well getting some pressure. But man, this Houston Texans front seven was all over the field. Jalen Petrie, 10 total tackles, 8 of them solo, 1 tackle for loss. The experiment of playing him closer to the line of scrimmage is working out, and that nastiness that I talked about, him just murdering Cole Kmet, that's what you wanted to see last year from Jalen Petrie. Jalen Petrie right now looks like he's back in his year 1 form where he led this team in tackles and had 5 interceptions. I'm going to credit D'Amico Ryans right here for changing up the game plan for number 5, and it working out, dude. Jalen Petrie, he's just a torpedo. He's a force in the run game, and man, you better not catch that ball in his vicinity because he is going to take your head off. This secondary, a solid day because through the air, it was only 174 yards for Caleb Williams. So his stat line, 23 of 37, 174 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, got sacked 7 times. And I'm trying to see his quarterback rating right here. It was 51.0, so not good for him. Derek Stingley had some moments against DJ Moore. DJ Moore won some, but when it came down, Caleb Williams throws the ball in the air. He's trying to let his #1 wide receiver make a play. Derek Stingley says, nuh-uh, I'll take that interception. You love seeing that from Derek Stingley. He's had a nice start to the season, but he has a tough matchup as he faces the best wide receiver in the NFL next week, Justin Jefferson. But I like seeing Derek Stingley, win some reps, lose some reps, but at the end of the day, delivering the knockout punch with the INT. And man, that kind of deflated the Chicago Bears offense. Kamari Lassiter, you're a rookie. He should have had 2 interceptions if it wasn't from I think it was a holding call. Correct me in the comments down below. On the first one, basically was the wide receiver showed off some great hands, and then the second interception that did count came off of an insane Caleb Williams escape sack. Danielle Hunter ended up ripping a part of his shirt. Caleb Williams gets free, throws up a prayer, and Kamari Lassiter comes down with it. Love seeing that from the rookie. Love seeing that in the post-game interview. He had his lock pendant on. This defense was swarming. I could not give any more praise to them because they won the game for the Houston Texans. Derek Barnett also had a sack, and like I mentioned, Mario Edwards Jr. had a sack as well. Shout out to the Houston Texans defense, and they're going to have a tough matchup next week against the Minnesota Vikings. Switching to the Houston Texan offense, it was a lackluster performance from them. But I first want to highlight one player, and that is kicker Kaimi Fairbairn. He might be one of the best kickers in the NFL. 350-yarders yesterday, 350-yarders last week against Indianapolis. He hit 2 last night from the Houston Texans logo. Kaimi Fairbairn has been money, has been worth every single penny of that extension that he got. And I have to say, guys, if you don't have Kaimi Fairbairn, I don't know how these last 2 weeks play out. He has been absolute money from deep, which is why I say that this offense was lackluster. Only one touchdown from C.J. Stroud, and it's not like C.J. Stroud had a bad game. He went 23 of 36, 260 yards, one touchdown, no interceptions, a quarterback rating of 94.7. When big plays needed to be made, C.J. Stroud delivered, and he delivered them to wide receiver Nico Collins. What a day he had off of 10 targets, 8 receptions, 135 yards, one touchdown, averaging 17 yards a catch. His longest was 28. What I love about that Nico Collins touchdown, the play before gets a flag for unsportsmanlike conduct. A Chicago Bears secondary player put their finger in his face. Nico Collins gives him a little shove. It's always the second guy that's going to get in trouble. And how did the Houston Texans offense respond? Going right back to him for the touchdown. He breaks a tackle, and after he scores, shoves Jalen Johnson to the ground just to let him know that he is nothing to Nico Collins. And I absolutely love that. I like that from Bobby Slowick. Reward one of your guys. And here's the thing. Nico Collins, 100 yards last week, another 100-yard game yesterday. As of right now, he is the Houston Texans' #1 wide receiver. And if he has another solid game next week, you're going to be hearing me say Nico Collins is a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL. It was all Nico Collins today. No other pass catcher had more than 40 yards. You saw the one-handed catch that he made, was able to get both his feet in bounds, where C.J. Stroud escapes a sack, and moving across his body, it goes straight to Nico. You know 12's out here, man. This connection between C.J. Stroud and Nico Collins is going to be dangerous for years to come. Stephon Diggs, 4 receptions, 37 yards, a quiet day for him. Joe Mixon, 3 receptions for 25 yards. Dalton Schultz, 2 receptions for 21 yards. Dare, 2 receptions for 20. Kate Stover, 1 reception for 18. Notice how I haven't mentioned Tank Dell yet, because he probably had the worst game of his entire football career, off of 4 targets, 1 reception for -3 yards. He also had a couple of drops, right? The big one, C.J. Stroud escapes a sack, and it hits Tank Dell right in the hands. If he catches that, we're talking about a 50-yard touchdown there. We know that when you have 3 legit #1 guys, you're only going to have very little opportunities, and he only got 4 opportunities yesterday, did not make the most of them. Kind of disappointing after he said, oh, I'm built for Sunday Night Football, but I think Tank Dell is going to get going soon, ladies and gentlemen, so do not worry about Flash. I do like that the Houston Texans, though, are, using him as a runner as well, with that speed, with that elusiveness. I want to give a shout-out to rookie Kate Stover. Had a big play on 4th down. Was lined up as a fullback, then popped out, caught the ball, took it for a few, and then a couple of plays later on one of the Tank Dell's big run was the leading blocker. The Houston Texans might have something in Kate Stover, and I'm expecting a touchdown from him very soon. The offensive line struggled yesterday. They made it hard, protecting C.J. Stroud. It was hard for them to create lanes for these running backs. Joe Mixon, only 25 yards on the ground. The leading rusher of yesterday was Cam Akers, 7 attempts for 32 yards, but he had that fumble that really hurt him. You cannot have those type of mistakes when you're trying to solidify yourself as the backup running back. It felt like every single time momentum was shifting to the Houston Texans' favor, the offense just let out the air. And going forward, you can't have games like this. I don't want to see Kaimi Fairbairn having to kick 3 50-yard field goals every single week. Yes, I know he could hit them hoes, but you want to see this offense put up 6 when you got 3 guys who could get 100 yards at any given day. It was just a rough day for this Houston Texans offense. You might have to chop that up to jitters. You might have to chop that up to the Chicago Bears having a damn good front 7, and they did. With that being said, guys, a strong day for this Houston Texans defense. A lackluster performance from the offense. Kaimi Fairbairn was money. The Houston Texans are 2-0. For more content, you guys know what to do. Feel free to come back. Have a very blessed day. This episode was brought to you and powered by BetUS.